The Cornwall Interfaith Partnership recently met at Knox St. Paul's Church for an open discussion gathering on Canada's commitment to the United Nations Millennium Goals. The group formed over a year ago to explore issues related to the interfaith community.
The CIP, Cornwall Interfaith Partnership, came together in June of 2010. The idea was to be a local level representation of a united, multicultural, multi-faith religious voice. There was on the international level the World Religious Leaders Summit that wanted to remind the government before the G8 and the G20 conferences that certain global humanitarian concerns and priorities should lead many of the decision making at not just economic growth. The priorities that we wanted to tell the government were to consider the eradication of extreme poverty, the sustainability of the environment, and world peace. So we organized an event in June 2010 to make sure that our voices were heard on a local level about our priorities and concerns, and we invited our Member of Parliament, Guy Luzon, who listened to these concerns and brought them back to the government.
Luzon was invited back by the group to their open discussion to speak about Canada's progress towards meeting those goals, which include topics such as eradicating poverty and reducing child mortality.
We have what's called an aid effectiveness agenda. In other words, if we're going to give a country aid, we want it to be effective. And when in the beginnings, when we did some of those reviews, some organizations were spending up to 97% on administration. And we were giving millions of dollars in some cases, and 3% of the money was actually getting to the poor. We don't agree with that, of course. And so this is sort of the basics of when we are offering aid. This is the main criteria that we look at. The other thing that we have 5 sort of overreaching criteria, if you will. Another one is increasing food security. If you give a person a fish, you can feed him for a day, but if you teach a person to fish, hopefully he'll become self-sustaining. And that's part of what we want to do, is we want to make sure that when we help someone access food, that they will be able to hopefully produce that food on their own in the future. And children and youth is a priority. We want to focus on our aid to focus on children and youth. And as you saw in the video, education is critical, of course.
Along with a video presentation on the Millennium Goals, a short skit was performed by Ashley Bedard and Johanna Backer of St. Joe's Social Justice Youth Group. Members also participated in workshops about key objectives outlined in the Millennium Goals.
Now, our experience with this group coming together for this specific event was very positive, and we felt that we could make a contribution to Cornwall by continuing in this group. So now we are still seeking our formation as a not-for-profit charity. We're still in the formation period, but we've had a number of very successful events over the past year and a half.